welcome back to Twilight Football. We're in the final minutes now of the program. We've had a bit of a bumpy ride to get here today. We've kind of had to do things a bit on the fly due to some technological issues. We do apologise for that. But if you missed any of it, make sure you head over to our SoundCloud, our Spotify. The full podcast is there. We spoke about the Matildas off the top. We had a nice chat just then to one of Western United's one of their many new signings in Dylan Wenzel-Halls. They've brought in plenty of others and hopefully some more potentially on the way. But now we're going to get some of the fun part, transfers and the lot. And we're also now joined, we've got Willem joining us, our producers. Come on in.
Gents.
You've had it all happening out there tonight,
been up
mate.
Against it, but as always, we got through it. Dylan was fantastic in the end. I'm not sure if you guys would have seen the vision of his mouth actually moving, but the important part was the audio was strong and what he had to say was interesting.
Absolutely. And the main thing is you can always catch up with it a little bit later. Get on Spotify and everything else, and it sounds all crystal clear. Guys, let's dive into some of the transfer news happening at the moment. We'll start off with some that's happening here. There's rumours going around that Western Sydney are looking for a partner up top for Tomer Hemed. I mean, Mitchell Duke has just been announced he's heading to the J-League this season. So they're looking for obviously some reinforcements up top after last year, literally pillaging the entire league and bringing every striker possible. But now they're working from ground zero again. How do you guys see the Wanderers at the moment and sort of what areas they need to improve on? Is striker something that you guys have noticed that they need to really look at?
We know Scott McDonald was there on the short-term deal at the end of the last season. Is he continuing on?
No, he's been released.
He's been released?
Yeah.
Well, I reckon he would have almost been the perfect player for them if he had the run in the legs. We just heard Dylan speak about the linking role that he played between Jay O'Shea and himself. So, yeah, the Western City Wanderers, we know they've got the number 10. We know they've got Tomer Hemed. So they probably don't need another out-and-out striker. They need someone who's going to play off the shoulder or, as that sort of conduit. So I reckon Scott McDonald, if he wants to do another pre-season...
That's the thing. If he wants to do it again, I mean, he's now, 38? 37?
Yeah, he's settled into a bit of his media work.
Yeah, I think now he's coming towards the end.
37, yep.
Yeah, I mean, if he feels like he can go again, maybe on a short-term contract or something, then, I mean, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing. One name that was linked to them was Reno Piscopo, but that rumour has been shut down completely. There's very little talks happening between the two. Okay. All indications are that Reno will come out of hotel quarantine and essentially, at the moment, go back to Wellington. I believe he still is contracted there for this season, which I think is great that he's going to be going back to Wellington because Wellington have this tendency of being absolutely just robbed of talent at the end of every off-season. It seems like their best players, 2 or 3 of their best players, even more, are just wiped. And it's good that this season they've been able to, sort of cover the losses of, you can't really replace Ulysses Tavia. I think that's fair enough, in saying he's arguably the best player in the league. But they've been able to bring Gary Hooper back to replace Tomer Hemed as well.
Yeah, that was a big one for them, bringing Hooper back. Obviously, he's had the stint already and was someone that was taken to really well by the Wellington faithful. Obviously, haven't been able to see too much of him given the way the world works at the moment. But yeah, it's funny, Wellington. I think there was that period where they were quite often, a bit of a laughing stock, maybe you can put it that way amongst A-League fans.
Nicest way possible.
Yeah, but whenever they are up and about, you see just how, as a neutral fan, it's very difficult to dislike the Wellington Phoenix, and having them as a competitive team, they've their best teams have always played some really, really nice football and done well when they've made the finals, gone deep a couple of times as well. So if they can just hold on to a couple of those players and keep adding some new ones. Obviously, Hemed was a big loss, but I think they've every reason to continue to hope for a big future for him.
Hard not to wonder what could have been in terms of Piscopo for the Olyroos. What a shame he had that calf injury. We know in the third game, as with Mitch Duke out and the stocks were getting a bit stretched, we know Arnie was sort of reticent to play both Arzani and Tilio together. You would have thought, Piscopo would have just been the perfect partner because he does get up and down the wing a little bit more. He's a little bit more responsible, if that's maybe the knock on those other two guys. So it was such a shame to see him in the bib for the majority of the tournament because based on the quality of the tournament, he would have been more than handy, I think. So, good to see he's going back to Wellington.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the Olympics and you mentioned that last game. And I think we all sort of went, what the hell is going on when they turned to J. Rich Begaloo with half an hour to go to throw on a centre-back up top, a guy who's never played, as far as I'm concerned, and I think professionally he hasn't seen many minutes. Most of his minutes have been under 23s for Crystal Palace.
Yep.
So to see him, it's through no fault of his own because he's doing what the coach has told him. But that's something you do when there's 2 minutes to go in a game and you just need to throw a body in there, not with half an hour to go.
That's a good point you make. I actually didn't mind the move, but not half an hour out. 2 minutes out, 3 minutes out.
Yeah, that was the prime Stephen Corker move at Liverpool with a handful of minutes left, not with a whole half an hour.
That's one I'd like some answers on actually from Arnie.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm very surprised that I don't know if anyone. I haven't gone back and actually watched the full presser, but based off the post-mortem and the articles I've read afterwards, there hasn't been any sort of responses in regards to the Begaloo decision because I was baffled. I was laughing about it thinking, what the hell are they doing? If this pays off, he's going to be considered some sort of genius. You know, J. Rich Begaloo is probably going to have a greater cult status than what Harry Suits already does for monstering Nepalese defenders who come up to here on him. So, you know, and you would have thought in that game, because you saw how well it was working with Arzani and Tilio on at the same time and the fluidity and how they were able to move and sort of, you know, bring each other into the game by able to exploit spaces. A lot more fluid than what they were with Dylan, who's more of your straight line runner. You know, you just want him running at players instead of that creative force looking to pick out passes. You think you bring on a guy like Renault, who's, we know, set piece delivery is tremendous. And how many set pieces did the
Arzani was particularly poor in that second half.
In the whole tournament as well, particularly that Spain game when we were in the watch along. I know Nick Stoll pointed it out, but I was thinking in my head the entire time the free kicks were just.
And that just goes back to depth of the squad and depth of Australian footballers as well. Okay, you're under 23s, Riley McGree, good over the ball. He goes out. Piscopo, injured. There's very little below that. So that's just a whole depth issue.
Absolutely. And Rami Nazarene goes out pre-tournament. Obviously, it led to Marco Tilio coming in, but that's just another player, you know, that can give you that little bit of, you know, excitement. And it's a shame that we're also going to lose Stefan Kolikovsky by all sort of, you know, how things are looking at the moment is that the Macedonian coach has come out and said that he's going to be selected. I'm not sure if that's youth team level. If it's youth team level,
sort of matches.
Is that
going to be senior internationals or
that hasn't been
friendlies?
Confirmed.
Yeah, so that's the kicker. Because we've seen, you know, many players dabble or flirt here and there, and Australia has been beneficiaries of many guys who have played underage stuff.
You know,
you're always going to lose a couple as well. But Kolikovsky definitely one you want to put your time and resources into making sure he feels proud of wearing the green and gold.
Definitely. For every suitor, there's a. I was just about to say, I think we're perfectly fine with handballing Lyndon Dykes over to Scotland. But it's always been interesting because didn't they sort of change slightly the rule that friendlies don't matter anymore?
Tim Cahill was in court to make sure that he could play for Australia because he was under the old rules tied to Samoa for. I'm not going to pretend to know what specific match it was, but it was something like an under 23 qualifier. If that had been a friendly, would have been all right. So the rules have changed over the last sort of 15 years.
Yeah, because and there was
thank goodness that one got over the line.
Yeah, wow. Imagine
Rice.
I was just about to say there's been the whole hoo-ha about Declan Rice and Jack Grealish in particular between Ireland and England. A lot of Irish folk aren't particularly pleased.
I think the number one thing that summed up the sentiment towards Declan Rice was the second in the wash up of the Euro final was seeing. I don't know if you guys listen to the Guardian football podcast, but Barry Glendenning, who's
the Max Rushton and Barry Glendenning.
So Barry, obviously Irish, straight away posts a photo of Declan Rice in an Irish kit. You know, basically just saying.
I think that was his Twitter photo throughout the tournament. Just a little needle the whole way through.
And you know what? And you know what? It is a shame when you lose someone like that. You know, it's great to be on the beneficiary side of it, but for Collar, I mean, for him. You think about the carrot that's been dangled. I think when you put yourself in his shoes and you think about what Macedonia are able to do and get to the Euros, you think, if everything goes well for me, I could play at the Euros. And you think about what opportunity that brings by just playing at the Euros, and all you might need is one really good game, and bang, you get signed up by a big club.
And that's probably what got Lyndon Dykes over the line as well. Only 6 months to a year ago, that was, you know, we're a team that's going to the Euros. So that's exactly what Kolikovsky's thinking.
Absolutely, and I mean that's probably what Sutar and Boyle had to obviously weigh up as well when they had to make those decisions. I mean, when Martin Boyle made that decision, he probably had no idea that Scotland would. I mean, I don't think anyone would have really picked in 2018 if Scotland were going to be able to actually finally buck the trend and make a major tournament. Harry Sutar probably saw the stocks. I mean, you have to have a look at the stocks. You have to have a look at where he was professionally at the time as well. He's playing League One at Fleetwood Town on loan from Stoke, probably thinking, when am I actually going to make that step as well?
They were probably looking at the World Cup as the carrot at that point, not the Euros with Scotland. But, Scotland aren't going to go to a World Cup. More than likely, that won't be the case. Australia have made the last 4, so that was probably the carrot that enticed them.
Absolutely.
Good luck to Scotland as well, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Is it the next World Cup or the one after that? Will be more teams.
26.
Yeah, so that'll be
5 years.
That'll
mean
allow for more opportunity, more teams. But you look at Suter. Obviously, his brother's nominated Scotland.
Yes,
he's played for Scotland already.
He scored against Celtic on the weekend. He scored the winner.
Yeah, Lockie was very happy with that one for his beloved Hearts. But I reckon we should adopt the hockey rule. I don't know if anyone was watching when Australia played New Zealand last week. I think in the Olympics in the hockey, one of the Australian, I don't know what positions you call them in hockey, one of their like attackers or whatever he was. His brother was the goalkeeper for New Zealand, and he had played for Australia before.
Wow.
But they've got some rule that if you don't get picked for 3 years, I think, if you don't play an international for 3 years, then you're free to
similar to cricket as well.
Jump ship.
You can play for a couple within your career.
Wow,
quite a few do.
That would make things interesting because 3 years is a long time in football. We've got to remember, like, how rare is it that a player goes 3 years without an international call up? You know, as a player of certain ilks, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head that you can just go, all right, he's a dual nationality. Like, how good would it have been to have him ready to go at a tip of a hat? He's been cup tied by playing one game, qualifier, especially think about Europe, one qualifier against San Marino, and all of a sudden can't play for anyone else. So it's amazing how all that stuff happens. And, I think that, now I think that it makes it even harder for a player to make that decision and just go, I need to commit to this, because you need to weigh up that if I'm tied to a European nation, are the chances of me actually realistic of playing for England or playing for Italy or playing for Germany? Or if I have that dual nationality, I can go and play for a team that, you being a smaller confederation, but your chances are you're going to play at a World Cup and you'd be selected every single time. Like, you think about, guys that go play for the US or go play for Australia, etc. So it is quite interesting in that one. Before we move on to the quiz, Wilm, I know you've prepared one.
Itching
for the guy. I can tell.
Eddie Maguire.
Just want to touch on some transfer news from around the world. I mean, the big one that came out overnight is Romelu Lukaku, and the Calcio boys were talking about it before, about the unfortunate situation with Inter at the moment is that they need to sell to survive. And after winning the league, they have been the situation, the Suning owners and everything, how it's worked there, they have had to essentially sell two of them. They already have had to sell Hakimi to PSG for 80 million, and now Romelu Lukaku, who we saw last season, he had the season of his life at Inter. He's set to go for 120 million, back to not where it all started, but a place where he sort of went in between in Chelsea, where it's really forgotten he actually played for Chelsea. Might have been only 2 or 3 games, but was loaned out a few times. But I think, in terms of almost a vengeance story, in terms of a great storyline, Romelu Lukaku going back to the Premier League, as much as it's a massive loss for Serie A, and I genuinely don't like it, even though I'm a Milan fan, I would love to see him go back and really right that wrong, because I think that there's a lot of receipts that he's kept for some of the stuff that was said during his time at Manchester United.
The Calcio boys were comparing him to Mo Salah, of course. Yeah, very, very, very similar. He was at Chelsea at the same time as Lukaku was briefly. I think he was signed later, but obviously their times there intersected, and then he has the loan move to Fiorentina, does very well at Roma, and obviously look where he's. Look where he's gone at Liverpool. It is unfortunate the state that Serie A clubs, and I think a lot of French clubs as well, seem to be in, where they have to sell players. It sucks, to put it plainly. Like, I think there's plenty of talk, even looking at Lyon, talking about them shipping Uzamawa for peanuts, like 20, 25 million pounds, which is just sad, really. And we obviously talked plenty about Super League and money and stuff is always rife in these football conversations. But if you've got a Chelsea or a Liverpool or City, United, whoever that are, on one hand shelling out £100 million for Jack Grealish, but on the other, if you can just dip into all these different clubs and bring your bait and hook and steal all these players, it is a bit sad, but that's the way the world works, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because Inter at the moment are finding themselves in a really hard position to essentially, and if you're going to use a basketball term, run it back, because they can't, because with the striker market at the moment, how many strikers are there that you can just say, all right, Lukaku leaves, but we're going to go pillage him. We're going to go and take that guy. There's not many in that elite bracket around the world. Erling Haaland's not going cheap. Yeah. And we know that move he's going to Manchester City. We know that if it's not Harry, if Harry Kane goes to Man City, it might change everything, but what's to say Man City don't try and buy both? They probably can afford to, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Other than that, you got Haaland, you got, Lukaku, you've got Harry Kane. Harry Kane's probably going to end up at City. So it's like there's this monopoly of, sort of those Premier League clubs can afford them. But Inter, a lot of that money is going to now go to just keeping the club alive. That's paying off debts. That's just paying players. They're probably going to have to look for, I'm not going to use the term Moneyball. I think that's one thing we could definitely not say. It won't be a Moneyball signing, but they've got to be smart with who they're going to look for next, because the next player that probably will be moved on is his partner. Lautaro Martinez is going to be looked at next. I mean, Barcelona were prepared to throw millions at him a while ago as well.
Arsenal, I think, apparently want him as well.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because at the moment, the other sort of Serie A teams, they haven't been able to go out and spend big. They've sort of meddled a little bit. Juventus are sort of not too sure whether they want to pay 35 million for Locatelli and 35 million for an English club. Tell you what, like a team like Crystal Palace, that's a big signing for them, but they can just go 35 million, no worries, mate. That's just coming out of the TV money. Like, that's not an issue for them. But for Juve and Milan and teams like that, it's hard.
Well, on that, sorry, just a quick one. And maybe they are preparing for the 100 million that they're going to get. But Aston Villa, I mean, yes, his historic club, big club, but they've added Leon Bailey today. They've already got Buendia, and even in years previous, they've always spent huge money. Obviously, there was that summer when they came back up, when they had the Wesley, Trezeguet, El Ghazi, and bought nine or 10 players in one. It's it's unfortunate, but
the other tough, sad scenario facing Inter at the moment is Christian Eriksen is discussing at the moment what's going to happen with his future. I don't think we'll be seeing him play again, but there will be some financial ramifications, of course, for the club. So expect to hear about that in the next few days.
Well, it's really unfortunate. Yeah,
I was just going to say, this is a club that maybe you weren't like hearing this, Nick, but they'd been away from the big time for so long. Come back, win a Serie A with a brilliant season. They've now lost their coach, had one of their big players, seriously at risk of his life and his health, and now having to put their players in the shop window. It's from one thing to the next in football these days.
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at sort of the Inter makeup, and this will sort of be the last touch on it. They did bring in Çalhanoğlu to semi-replace Christian Eriksen. I must say though, Christian Eriksen, for all of the fact there were a lot of people that sort of ruled him out before the midway point of the season, when they had all those memes of him coming out with the receding hairline and like, what have Inter done? What's Antonio Conte done to Christian Eriksen? He finished the season brilliantly. He completely reinvented him, and I was like, okay, Inter, they've got a damn good midfield, because Christian Eriksen is like that final cog. Unfortunately now, it's almost selfish of me even saying, I wish that they had Christian Eriksen, but there's bigger things than football, and at the end of the day, he's got to make that decision for himself. He can't play. He's got to think about his heart, got to think about life beyond football. He's got a family. And for Inter now, they've got to fill the gap. Hakan Çalhanoğlu has come in. They actually had, talk about it, sort of a semi-throwback, Raja Nainggolan back for them from a loan spell back. He's not the same player he was. I don't even know if he wants to be there, but he has been lining up in preseason friendlies for them. So they've got him back. They've still got talent like Nicola Barella and Skriniar and Arturo Vidal and other players like that. So intrigued to see how that all goes. Willem, let's get into the quiz, mate. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
What do you got prepared
Just
for us?
realised that this quiz might actually not work too well because I was going to do a point system for the two of you. It's a 12-point quiz. We've got, I think, 8 questions here, but it might just have to be a shout-out who gets the answer first.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great.
I'm going to throw down the challenge. We've got 12 points. If either of you guys can get 4, I'll be impressed.
Let me get
And can
some,
we engage the Twitch viewers in any way at all? Can we maybe get a
we can
collective
tell.
team for them? And if they get the answer to send that through fast enough,
We'll see.
they get the
we'll
point.
see what we got. Just one sec, mate. I'm going to get up some intense music for this because we have some game show music for this sort of stuff. So just give me a second, mate.
It's a relatively contemporary quiz. All of these things are relevant now to events in the recent couple of days, or couple of weeks anyway.
The downfall of the lockdown quizzes was that they all ended up being about Serie A history. So
Okay.
because Josh would
right down Nick's right up Nick's alley.
All right, I can't find the exact. Here we go. I think this is it. Well, this is apparently our tense music, so let's go with that.
Alrighty, let's roll.
Very tense.
Who scored the Olyroos goal at the 2008 Olympics?
Nick, Ruben Zakovic.
Yeah, nice one.
That's right. Yeah,
Nick.
Well done.
D.
take that one.
The Olyroos' last win at the Olympics prior to the Argentina match. I want who it was against for 1 point, and for 1 point each, I want the 3 players on the score sheet that day.
Can we just say the Olympics? Like when it was
Sure, yep.
Nick? It was in Athens.
It was in Athens.
Yeah.
So that's one more for
3
you.
goal scorers.
I know one of the goal
Okay.
scorers. John Aloisi.
Correct.
Other goal scorers. I'm genuinely having a blank.
Who was another overage player?
I'm going to just take a punt. At that time, overage. Was Harry Kewell playing in that team? No?
No, correct.
I was 4 years old. I'm just going to preface that.
Give up.
All right, we had Tim Cahill
Of course.
and we had Ahmed Elrich, who of course played at Fulham and was in and around the 06 World Cup squad, didn't end up making the cut.
And who was it against?
It was against Serbia and Montenegro.
Wow.
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 Okay, so we got Nick 2 and Nick 1. Celtic. They, of course, have bombed out of the European Champions League against Midtjylland. They're still in the Europa League. Who have they been drawn against?
Oh, damn. I haven't
This
seen
is
it.
very fresh news. This is only today.
I got no idea. I haven't seen it.
Can you give us a clue? Like what league?
They are in the Czech Premier League. And they finished third.
All right, I'll guess. Nick. Slavia Prague.
Incorrect. No, it is Jablonec.
Oh, no. Never heard of him.
Just came across my
No
desk.
disrespect to our Czech listeners if there are any out there.
Just came across my desk this afternoon. Jamie Young. He's just moved from Brisbane Roar to Western United. I'd like you to name another of his previous clubs.
Nick. I literally wrote an article about this for Western United, and now
I'm going to take a punt if you don't. Do you want to have a quick guess or?
Wycombe Wanderers.
I actually don't have my phone on me.
Yeah,
I don't think so though.
Let me pull it up. I won't answer.
There was Aldershot. There was.
I'm almost certain
Something
that he
in
played
Yates?
for Wycombe Wanderers.
I didn't bring my phone into the studio with me.
Jamie Young. Jamie Young played for. Yeah, he played for Wycombe.
Wycombe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he played for Reading.
2-2.
Reading, Reading was the
Reading,
other one I was
yep.
thinking of. Yep.
Mitch Duke, new club as of today.
Playing in the J League. I just didn't get the name.
I want the league.
All right.
For 1 point.
J League, and I'm going to guess Nagoya Grampus. Still
Correct.
playing in the J League.
J2.
J2.
Shout outs to being on the other side of the glass.
And you can have
during
2
culture.
points if you can name the club.
Oh, you told me the
I
club.
did tell you. I told you about an hour ago, and you haven't retained
I've
it.
got no idea.
I didn't think you were listening. It is going to be Fagiano Okayama.
Okay.
That was tough. That's why it was for 2 points.
Nah, I genuinely thought it was J League. I didn't realize the second division.
So I've got Nick Devano 2, Nick Hughes 3. Heading into the final question.
Okay.
Ooh.
2016 Olympics in Rio. The winners of the gold medal matches,
Nick.
men's and women's.
Nick, the gold medal for the men was Brazil,
Correct.
and the women was it Brazil again?
It wasn't. This opens the door for you to tie it up. Oh no, for the
No,
win.
It's 3-3, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh no! You'd hate to stuff this one up.
I would. I mean, I got no idea.
Football powerhouse.
The basic answer would be America.
Incorrect.
Is it the
Can we open it up
Netherlands?
for one more
We
go
can
each?
open it up.
Okay.
The Dutch?
Incorrect. Very close. Much closer. Much warmer.
Oh,
Germany.
Oh, yeah, that's a win.
is it Germany?
It was Germany, but there were a lot of clues. So I'll give you half a goal.
I still
So
win
you've still
anyway.
won
don't I?
3 to 3.5.
Jeez.
You bottled the J1,
know,
man.
right?
The J1 and the J2. That was your gimme point.
All right, guys. Time for us to wrap up here. Thank you very much for joining us in studio, Willem.
Love it.
Full show will be up on Spotify, including our chat with new Western United signing Dylan Wenzel-Halls. The lads will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. State of our football nation, and also the Lions Den, I believe, tomorrow. I don't think there's any if you know your history. I think they're taking a week off.
Yeah.
I think Paul Mavruti said no show this week, and they've
There you
decided to take the week off. But myself, Victor Byer, Nick Hughes, and Willem Van Denderen, I want to get that one correct.
Van Denderen, yep.
Van Denderen, there we go.
Denderen.
Perfect. Time for us to sign off. We'll be back again tomorrow. So from all of us, goodbye for now.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure